gardening and lifestyle expert Carmen Johnston is passionate about creating lush, beautiful backdrops for family life and entertaining. Evidenced by some of this up here. With nearly 15 years of experience, plus appearances on the Today Show, HGTV, and features in Southern living, country living, Carmen inspires and serves clients all over the country. She recently launched Bespoke Garden Plans, a full-service, nationwide, remote landscape design service based on virtual client meetings and photos. Carmen and a curated network of landscape designers throughout the U.S. specialize in detailed hand drawings and beautiful 3D renderings, delivering customized blueprints that range from a small-scale yard refresh to a complete install. Clarissa Adams first reached out to Carmen Johnston in April of 2022, trying to get her here for our symposium in 23. Well, it didn't work out until now, but we've decided good things to come to those who wait. Join me in welcoming Carmen Johnston.
Y'all, thank you so much for having me here. I'm so glad to be here. And again, thank you to our sponsors for hosting this, because this truly, I know, is a huge group effort. And thank you to the Garden Club. We had an amazing evening last night, and it was truly, truly spectacular. So, who does not follow me on Instagram? You don't?
I started today. I love that.
Promise me when you go home that you're going to follow me.
I love that.
So a lot of these, am I talking too loud? Okay. A lot of these bags have a lot of my favorite goodies, garden goodies, so be sure to listen up for different things. I today am going to take you on a trip around the world. Tommy and I love to travel, and it's something that I was very fortunate enough. My dad is from Austria, so I grew up traveling a lot as a young child. And we're going to, you'll have these brochures in your hand, or in your seat. I know y'all are going to ask me some video housekeeping. On the back is the QR code. You can also shop a lot of these things. You can also shop a lot of these things on the Smith of Dublin's QR code, which will be up here on the presentation in just a minute. But we're going to go around the world. I only have 3 tables I'm going to share with y'all today, but there are other 2 tables that are in here that you can read more about. But I'm going to give y'all a little bit of background about me and how I got started and how it all began. Does anybody know what city I was born in? Yes!
Oh my goodness.
I was actually born here in Columbia, and my father owned a restaurant here in Trenton Plaza called Werner's. I know, and do you know where Little London is now? That's when my father had a restaurant in the late 70s and early 80s. And I know, so that's why this is really special to be here, because I never really get to share that part of the story. So I grew up gardening with my dad. At the age of 6, we moved to Atlanta. And how many of you have ever been to Austria or been to Europe? Okay, there's window boxes, gardening, it's just in their DNA. So I grew up gardening with my dad. And then I went off to college and I met my husband, Tommy, whose family was in the greenhouse business. And I was like, if I get married to this family, I'm going to get free flowers for the rest of my life. Needless to say, we got married. And this is another great coincidence. A few years down the road, I started a business, and we were in Athens, and Rebecca Reed from Southern Living was presenting, and this is when I was first starting my business, and no, social media did not exist. If you were going to be in Southern Living, it was like winning an Oscar for a Southern Living. It was a really big deal. Don't you remember? It's a really big deal. And I went up to Rebecca, and I said, I've just started my business, and I would love to be in Southern Living. Can you help me? And then not be here today if it wasn't for Rebecca, because she really helped catapult my career. And so now I'm a landscape designer. We travel, we do a lot of traveling all over the Southeast. I have an install company called Nectar & Company, which a lot of y'all see that on Instagram. But during the pandemic, we were having hundreds of people reaching out to us asking for landscape design work, right? And my office manager was like, we have got to do something. Like, how can we help all these people? Now I have 18 architects that work with me, and we oversee, we do anywhere, we did over 1,000 plants last year, all over the United States and Canada. So that is bespoke garden plants, which I know you were asking about. It's a remote virtual design business, and I've helped a lot of people. I know I saw a few clients in the room not too long ago, but if you ever have any questions or anything, we gladly help in any way. I know I had someone come up to me and ask me to explain what that is, so that's bespoke garden plants. Okay, so now let's start traveling around the world. And like I said, Tommy and I, when we first got married, we decided not to do a birthday present, a Christmas present. It's changed a little bit now. But we decided to invest our money in travel. We decided that we were going to go on a really big trip every single year. And so we have been fortunate enough to travel all around the world. And we're going to start off in Singapore. Who's ever been to the National Orchid Garden in Singapore? No, you have? Great. We don't want me from this gift out here. Hold your hand up. You get a gift. She's right over there. Why were you in Singapore? I'm curious. Yes. It's the most, y'all. So if you've never been to Southeast Asia, now you gotta think about it. My husband is from Thomaston, Georgia. Okay? And I said, I want to get out of our comfort zone, and I would love to take a trip. And we went with my sister, and we started in Hong Kong and spent 3 weeks in Southeast Asia and ended up in Bali. And it was a transformative trip. That y'all, there are flowers everywhere. As soon as you get off the airport in Singapore, there are orchids, literally thousands of orchids, just in where you pick up your luggage. It is just, they have plants everywhere. You go to the orchid markets, they are stacked high to the ceiling, and it's also known as the Garden City. So it's very, very well known. So if you ever get an opportunity, I strongly recommend that you travel over there. And if you look in your pamphlet that I gave y'all, you'll see all of my favorite places where I recommend going to eat. If you love to shop, there they have Orchard Road, which used to be a former plantation back in the day. It's called Orchard Road now, but it has the most incredible shopping there. And the food is incredible, but the National Orchid Garden has an orchid name for every single First Lady, and it has the most incredible, beautiful arch of the yellow cymbidium. I don't know if y'all are familiar with that orchid. It looks like a dancing lady. And let me pop back up here so I can explain this to y'all. So when we are creating, because I thought it'd be fun, when I created this with the late Kat McCall, I don't know if any of y'all know Kat. Kat was an artist from Augusta, and she lost her life during Helene. But we created all of the artwork for this she did. We spent about a year collaborating on creating the different menus, the placemats, and it was all done by hand. Kat did all the watercolors for it. She was a dear friend of mine, and we also did the linens for it as well. So this is something we go to present all over the country. We take this with us, and it's just a fun thing. So let's talk about Singapore and how we create a tablescape. So one of my favorite things to do when I'm always creating a tablescape is I believe in layering up. Okay. How many of you use one of these underneath your table? You do? Okay. Well, you can hear a small, the one right there in the box, raise your hand for a small gold box. Small gold box. I love this, y'all. This is a flannel And y'all, when y'all get done, y'all can come up and peek and touch and do all that stuff. Just don't take any hungry. But I love to use this under the table, especially under a linen that's not very heavy weighted, and it just kind of gives it a little bit more weight. But what Kat did was she created basically just a watercolor, and we used spoon flour. Are any of y'all familiar with the website Spoon Flour? Yes, it's awesome. And we created the linen and had it cut, but the weight of it wasn't really thick. So we put that, the flannel lining underneath it, and you can buy that all on Amazon, which is great. So it's very important to always layer up, what I like to say. And part of the layer, because of the beautiful yellow orchid archway that was in the National Orchid Garden, you'll see when you come up here later, is the placemat, and that's where that came from, and that design was the gorgeous yellow Semitic orchid. And I always love to use natural textures. I think that anytime you can echo the natural textures of wherever you're traveling. Now, Tommy thinks I'm crazy when I do this, but I always like to take, if you follow me on Instagram, I take this big, massive red duffel bag with me. And it travels everywhere with me because we bring back so much stuff when we travel. And all over there, it was so cheap, but I always try to think back things that I know that I can entertain and decorate with on our tablescapes because it always creates a great conversation. They're like, where did you get that from? So anytime you're traveling, your husband will let you. Tommy is very gracious. He lets me bring back big duffel bags filled with stuff because you can usually buy it for so much more cost effective over there. Also, part of the artwork on the invitation and the lunches, don't forget the back of your cards. If you're ever having custom stationery made, ask them to put something on the back. So that's just a nice little neat touch. Now, how many of y'all are really good with orchids? Y'all are good with orchids? Okay. This is, someone's gonna get an orchid. Hold on a second. Y'all figured out that you're also I always think it's important. If you'll notice that on all these tablescapes, it's all done with plants. So I always, if you follow me, you know that I always have potted things around because I love what I call plop and drop and use them as my centerpieces. And this is, I always have some sort of orchids growing in our house. Now listen, I cannot grow an orchid. I cannot keep an orchid alive. It is okay. I'm giving y'all permission, but that you can throw it away and buy new ones. But the ladies in here, you can't keep an orchid. Come see me afterwards because I want to know all your tips. But when I'm trying to, y'all know I love to do a stuff and shove, is I will take all of the orchids, put them in a container, and I will not put any potting soil in there. Does anybody know what this is called in the landscape world? No. Who said staple? Take her a small little box. This is known as a sod staple, and y'all, this is going to be one of your best friends in the orchid arranging world. And the reason why I did not add moss on this. So when you come up here afterwards, take a look at this. I took let me come over here and grab one of the orchids. I took one of the plastic pots. We're going to make a little bit of a mess. Sorry, y'all. I took one of the plastic pots off. That's going to come out. And don't be afraid, y'all. You can't hurt anything. Sorry. It's fine. You can't hurt anything. Take the plastic pot off and then get someone else to help you. But literally, you stick this straight into the root structure, and you will see that I have probably about 10 of these in here, and that's how I keep them standing straight up. It is, y'all, and I've learned all kinds of tricks over the years. I'm tired of, when you're trying to make one of those big, beautiful orchid arrangements, and they're always falling over. I'm done. Take the sod staple, put it in the root system, and it will help, it'll keep them standing up nice and straight. And then go in and top dress with some moss. I did not top dress this arrangement with moss on purpose so y'all can go and see how I put the staples in. But I love to use this gorgeous reindeer moss. You also can find this on Amazon or any local, craft store. It's that gorgeous moss. It's that spongy kind. And you always want to make sure that you soak it, and you can hide the mechanics of it if you would like. Now, I also think it's really pretty to have all of the beautiful orchid tendrils hanging over. I think it keeps it nice and natural. So always try to keep a potted arrangement. So anytime last minute someone's coming over, what did I say? What's the term that I use? You gotta raise your hand. You right there in the red. Just take her a slot candle. Plop and drop. You always want to have a plop and drop arrangement laying around. And that way you can be ready to go. Now, how would I maintain this? Literally, this is one of those containers that I simply just add a little bit of water in here and keep it hydrated. Because you know, orchids like to soak the water from the bottom. And I've heard, especially from a lot of my friends on Instagram, that you're not supposed to use ice. Okay? So I know I've been using ice for a long time, and I had a lot of the National Orchid folks reach out to me and say, don't tell them that anymore. They're supposed to soak it in water. And you soak it in water when the tendrils, and I'll do this so y'all can see this, are actually a silvery color and a gray. They look like this. And when they're green, that's not when you're supposed to soak your orchid. So you always want to look when they're silvery, and that's when you want to soak it. Now, I think it's very important too in the South that you always give your guests a Cersei when they're going home. So this is always a fun thing. I'm always, if you want to be a guest at my house, because you're always going home with a happy, and this is always a fun element. And then this is the name card. So it all mirrors the orchids from the National Orchid Garden, and it's a really fun element. And y'all, this just came from Ingalls. It just came from Ingalls. Now, of course, I popped and dropped it into a gorgeous, vase. I don't think I'd let them take the vase home, but maybe take some. That's okay. Now, I was telling y'all that my friend Natalie, who was here, Natalie, raise your hand real quick over here. Natalie owns Smith's of Dublin, and we work with, who owns Herend? Who has any hair in China? Herend, yes. So when we did this project, we crafted it, Natalie graciously reached out to Herend, and we told them our colorscapes, and they gave us a wish list of whatever we could pick. So when you come up and see, you'll see all the beautiful Herend china on the table. Herend, so Natalie, real quick, tell them what color, which this fish scale color is.
So that's the raspberry fish scale.
And then this one.
That's golden elegance, which is a newer
And then this is a very special thing that they let us borrow, which I think is so beautiful. And I love to use the color green. We can't break these. Which one is this?
So that's silk ribbon.
Silk ribbon. And how many colors? This comes in a lot of beautiful colors.
Like 10 or more.
So many beautiful colors. So be sure when you're coming up here, you take a look at all the beautiful hair in China that was crafted and created for this. So, and then something else I think that's very neat. Did you know that you can wash your hair in China or a lot of your china in the dishwasher? But do you know what not to use on your? Go ahead. Yes. She gets a cake. She gets a cake. Don't use anything with linen products on your china because it ruins the gold and it tarnishes the gold. I know, Natalie taught us that. So you can wash the dishwasher. So what should you use now? Like a Dawn?
Yeah, so just make sure it doesn't have any scent to it. Just a complete, no scent whatsoever.
No scent.
Wow.
Beautiful. Okay. Next, we are going to go all the way over to London. And I'm going to bring you up here in just a second, but I'm going to talk about London. Now, who has been to Kew Gardens? Okay, the lady in the black and white, take her a bag. A big bag. I love London. And if you follow me on Instagram, you know we like to go there a lot. So we've been there for New Year's, and it is just absolutely spectacular. This tablescape was based off of, if you've ever been to Kew Gardens in London, it has one of the largest old Victorian greenhouses in the world. And it was built by King Albert and Queen Victoria for the World's Fair. And it has the largest and oldest, when I say this, pot plant, meaning a gorgeous palm, one of the oldest palms is over 200 years old that they brought over on a ship. It's pretty incredible, and it's still living today. So if you ever get a chance, you want to make sure that you plan for an entire day at Kew Gardens. Don't feel like it. I was in London with some girlfriends past September, and I decided to stay an extra day. And I said, oh, let me just run out there really fast. Let me just spend a few hours. And it's never enough time. But they have over 50,000 species of different plants from all over the world. And of course, if you kind of figured this theme out, what do we love to do, especially if you start reading the brochure? Tommy and I do. I think Tommy just tagged along, and I'm so grateful for it. But we love to go to the different botanical gardens, and we love to eat at some of the fabulous restaurants there. So if you go to Kew Gardens, they have a beautiful orangery there. And it's great if you want to take your grandchildren or children there. There are so many incredible activities that the gift shops are always amazing. And that's also another place that I love to collect different things for my tablescapes are the different gift shops. They always have just the best things that I like to fit in that big red double bag that comes home. So that's what, and this is another thing too, I think oftentimes so many people get overwhelmed and stressed out about entertaining. Y'all, it can be just as simple as having those few staples around your house that you know that you can always use over and over. So invest in beautiful containers. This is a beautiful container, the coffee seed head that I've had forever. And when y'all come up later, you can take a look at it. And I just stuffed a jug, a simple palm in here. A palm plant that came from the Home Depot. It does not have to be super fancy. Do not get overwhelmed with it. And then this is just an old greenhouse that I had, and I just spray painted it gold, and this is supposed to represent, you know, the Kew Gardens, the old beautiful Victorian house. So anytime that we travel, like I like to come back and create a tablescape about it and tell the story of it, because it's a lot of fun when people come over and you start telling them, you know, this is what this means and this is what this represents. And it's just, like I said, another great conversation starter. Now, I know my friends from Charleston said they love the long table, but I love a round table. I love a round table because I think it encourages conversation. And now, I love a 60-inch round table. This is a small 48-inch round, and it's just because it's easier to show this. But I know that I love the space. I love to have 6 people at a 60-inch round, so there's always plenty of room. You can have a great conversation. You can entertain. This is a beautiful tablecloth that actually was made for the Kentucky Derby a while back. We did a great event with Pappy in County Country. We did an event a few years ago, but I love to invest in beautiful linens. Lily Wallace, this was a fabric that she created, and I have 3 of these. And be careful when you take them to the dry cleaners, because you'll notice as you'll come to this one on the back side, it's shrunk. But my point being is that use what you have. Just don't throw it in a closet. Be sure to use it, and I love it. So that's it. I love to use this tablecloth. And then this is the new beautiful Davana fern. Have y'all seen this fern yet? This is a piece from Ballard's by Bunny Williams, and it's actually like a sugar caddy. Y'all, buy these little tiny things. Can you see right here? Oh, the glare. Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Oh, you can see the fern. There you go. This is a new fern that's out on the market. It's called the Davana fern, and it's a gorgeous, ruffly fern. And this is supposed to represent one of the many thousands of ferns that are at Kew Gardens. They didn't have this one there, but it's just a fun Cersei to take home. And because of the palm house, this is the gorgeous, beautiful name card that Kat created for us. And it's just, I know it's so fun. It's a beautiful palm that she water, hand painted, and then can you imagine having to cut all those out? So this was a really neat element for this. And then we have the beautiful, all the different, if you look at the invitation and the menu cards also represent some of the different elements from the different gardens. So it's a gorgeous thing. This is a beautiful lily pad that's also made by Herend. And I'm showing y'all this because I think it is very important that you always have things on the table, so you guests that love to fidget or that just want to have a quick little nibble. You'll notice on all of my tables, I always have just these little tiny things. These are Jordan almonds, nuts, pistachios, anything, so they can always nibble. It's just, you always want to have just that little tiny plate. And then Natalie, I want y'all to come and tell the story, and you can just come right here, about the Queen Victoria china. So this china that is under here, when you come up and see, this is, go ahead and tell them.
So this is Princess Victoria. So are you guys familiar with Queen Victoria? So this is Princess. Okay. So Queen Victoria, I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with Queen Victoria. It has beautiful butterflies, flowers on it. So this is Princess Victoria. Herend introduced it so that Queen Victoria would have a companion. And the companion is Princess Victoria. So you can use this. We chose dark green for this tablescape. They have raspberry, dark blue, light blue, anything, even black, anything you can think of, any color you can think of to go with your tablescape.
Now tell them the story of the Rothschild. Oh, there we go. She's going to give you the microphone. This is such a fun story.
Okay, so Herend.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
I'm from Dublin, Georgia, so her accent. So the royals truly did and do use Herend, and so Queen Victoria was named because Queen Victoria used Herend, and Princess Diana collected the figurines. So one story, if you're familiar with the Rothschild bird, does anybody know that pattern?
Who has Rothschild bird? Okay. Yeah, we need to get it. Who has the Rothschild bird? Right there.
Which one?
Let's give her a candle, please.
So there are 12 motifs. So, and you can get dinner, salads, anything you can think of, but on each plate you will see a piece of jewelry, which is a pearl necklace. And the story behind that was they were playing, or the queen lost her necklace, and then in the garden, the gardener found birds playing with the pearl necklace and building it into the nest, and so that's how they located the piece of jewelry. So in every motif, you will see that element of jewelry in.
So be sure if you have the Rothschild pattern to go home and look for, anytime you're at a friend's house, to look for the pearls, because I think that's such a neat story. But this is the version of, this is Princess Victoria. And this has several different colors,
Yes,
right?
yes. So this is dark green, which is a newer introduction within the last few years. Light green, when you see Queen Victoria, that has a light green, so that's the most popular.
So that's why I love to use the color green all year round, because it truly goes throughout the season, and it's just such a fun element. Okay, thank you. I thought it was such a fun, a neat story. And you'll see all the different elements here. Okay, next, oh wait, I have to show y'all this one little thing too. This is also one of my favorite little things. This came from Amazon. This is a little Godinger piece that's only $30. It may be out of stock, I'm not sure. But I also love to put this is great for honey. You can put lots of different candies and different things in it, but invest in these little tiny pieces, because Tommy, how long have I had this for? I mean, for at least 10 years now, and it still is timeless, and it's a great fun element to decorate on the table. Okay, next we are going to go to Sea Island. Now, Sea Island is not in your brochure, but I wanted to talk about it because this is a really special place for us, and then also for Cat McCall. Who knows what this fern is right here? No? You can't see it? No. Someone in front? No. Keep going. I want someone to win the bag. It's the who said that? Resurrection. Yes. She gets the Sea Island back. She's back. It's the resurrection fern, and Kat created this as tablecloth for this. This actually lives in our sunroom, and this is the one that they sent to the dry cleaners, and they shrunk it. So when you come around the back and you're looking at the tables, you will notice this. But my point of telling y'all that is I still use it. Even though a mistake was made, I still continue to use it. But I love the resurrection fern. Tommy and I live on a pecan farm, and we have but they grow all over Sea Island. And it's just such a beautiful place. Now, who can tell me the name of this bird up here? I hope y'all want to go. What is it? I think it is. Yes. Will you see him for a cake, please? And then who knows what this is right here? The different, and the reason why I'm not showing all these is the place first. This is, do y'all know what kind of butterfly this is? No. Who said swallowtail? There, she did. I know I heard about there. Let's take her a gold box. She gets a gold box. The swallowtail. Wait, did she really say swallowtail? Okay. So that's another thing is when you're traveling, remember the different elements that you're seeing and have the place cards made. So she painted the different versions of the swallowtail butterfly as the place card. And then we did the beautiful napkin rings with, this is another piece. Natalie, remind me what this is, the oyster shells? Allison Evans. Now, anywhere we travel, I also love to collect Christmas ornaments. My sister says it's the tackiest treat ever, but I do not care. Because I think it's always so fun everywhere. You don't know, because everywhere that you go, when you decorate your tree, it's fun to create that memory and it reminds you of the memories of where you traveled before. And so that I always like to bring back the different ornaments and give them as the Circe and the happy on the napkin ring for my friends and clients or my family members. It's just always such a fun thing. And then they tried to take this ribbon off the table about 5 times and he was like, no, leave it on here. This is my ultimate favorite ribbon. It's a beautiful moss green ribbon that y'all may have seen me share on Instagram. It's like only $12, but it is the best ribbon color because it goes with everything. If you look on my bags, on my tags, everything, it's always such a beautiful thing. So y'all, this is just such a great ribbon. When you're up here, you're like, why is this up here? That way you can see what that is for. And then again, you will notice that, of course, I just have a potted plant on here. And this is literally the plant that lives on our coffee table. That I just plop and drop anytime Tommy's parents are coming over for dinner or anytime we're having friends. It's just make sure you always have those plop and drop containers. So who cannot grow a fern? You can't? You can't? There's a whole flat of ferns over there that you get to take home, and there's 6 of them, so maybe you want to share with your other friends that can't grow ferns. And y'all, the secret to growing these ferns are you want to keep them saturated and hydrated. They do not like to get dry.
Oh my goodness.
So if you kill those ferns, you can't. Just give them a dunk. I always like to, before I'm going to bed, I will literally, probably about once or every twice a week, I'll take this, I'll put this in the kitchen sink, I'll saturate it with water, I'll let it sit overnight so it won't stain my table. You can do the same thing with that, and you can keep it alive.
I'm going to start following you on Instagram.
You better start following on Instagram. I'll give you all kinds of great tips. Now, if you also follow me, you know that the fern, you're going to learn this and you're going to hear me talk about this shortly. One of my favorite ways to keep ferns nice and green and healthy are Epsom salt. You take a tablespoon of Epsom salt and mix it with a gallon of warm water. But do not do this on your maidenhairs. Do not do it on your maidenhair ferns because they do not like the salt. But that's a great way of how to keep those ferns on. And that blue star fern that you have, you may not know it's a blue star, but just watch my Instagram and I'll tell you what it is. Don't do it on that one as well. But I always like to have beautiful fern arrangements in our house. I mean, we've had this one for probably 3 months now. And they are so easy. Anytime you have a brown frond, just clip it out. And then once it's dead, the whole thing is dead, just start all over again. It's okay. I'm giving y'all permission to throw the plants out and to start over. I think so many of y'all often get intimidated and you're not quite sure what to do. And then we of course layered with these beautiful different candlesticks. I love the green colorway. I know we heard earlier from our friends from Charleston about using the different color candles, and those are such a great element with the glass chimney. And this is also another great way, I forgot to show you all this, to keep the ferns alive. This is a water globe. These will be your best friend for your house plants. And I also have a moisture meter in my white bag over there, Tommy, that I forgot to pull out. And that's another neat thing. But this is a water globe, and I also think it's really pretty because it's glass, and it also adds a great decorative element to any of your plants. And this also allows you to cheat. And if you follow me, you'll also know that I love to use these great big plastic saucers. Thank you so much. That anytime we're going out of town, that is how I keep our plants alive. I put them in our sunroom, I load up the plastic saucers, they're these like plastic rubberized and felt on the bottom, and that's how I'll keep the plants going when I go out of town. This is also your best friend. How many of you use a moisture meter? Who does not have a moisture meter? Okay, hold your hand up if you don't have a moisture meter. I am going, so Tommy, the three fly, all the succulents, y'all start handing out some of the succulents. One for each. So you got to get a moisture meter for our succulent plants. All of y'all, so Carly, make sure you get it. But this is one of your best friends in the garden. This is a moisture meter. And you do not need it for succulents. And I learned this actually from Rebecca. I remember a long time ago when we were doing a shoot. You only need to water a succulent once a month. Okay? And you're getting Desflorma. I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce it the correct way. But it's an ice plant. It's one of the easiest plants to grow. And you do not need a lot of water for it. But for your plants that do need a lot of water, if you're new to gardening, because I see a lot of new faces in here, or I know a lot of our friends on Instagram, you don't want to also leave this in the container. You want to stick it in the container, let the moisture meter read it, and then you want to clean off the tip. But this is, y'all, I'm telling you, they're amazing. They are great. Do we hand out all this? Wait, I see two more flocks up there.
Okay, let's go.
Keep holding your hands up. So definitely invest in moisture meter. I have them indoors, and then I also have them outdoors as well. So you just don't realize how much the plants need, especially during the winter time. Indoor plants can be kind of tricky to maintain. And this is just, we keep this literally under our coffee table, and I have them outside as well. So, and these are like $10 on Amazon. So super, super easy. You can scan that QR code on the back of that. It's a great thing. Okay. Next, we are going to make a container garden. I need someone to help me. Who knows what I like to call what I love to do? What do I call this on Instagram if you follow me? Go ahead, I see you. Go ahead. Come up here, send a shovel. I love to stuff and shove a container garden. And you just come up, you can come up that way as well. And I'm going to give you my favorite gloves. So I always like to kind of step outside of the box when I'm choosing my containers. And this is a beautiful basket from France that I will not be giving to you. But you see those plants over there? Those are all yours, and you can go home and retrieve them. Okay. Anytime I'm planting in a container garden, what's the number one thing you always want to make sure that you have? Drainage. You always want to make sure you have really, really good drainage. But for this one, I always think this is such a great way to energy spring. We did this for Country Living Magazine, and we just did this recently on Instagram. But you can buy these, not from France, but you can buy really great baskets at your local craft store. You may have these laying around your house, not from France, but different baskets, and you can do a much smaller version of this. But one of the secrets is you want to take a contractor trash bag, and you want to slit a few holes in the bottom of it so the container can drain. Now, I know what y'all are thinking. Yes, it is going to rot in the bottom of the basket at some time, but it is okay. Another great trick that I love to do is if you will see when you come up here, what is this knot? This is bark. This is bark. So I love to always put mini nuggets in the bottom of any of my container gardens because it allows it to drain really well, it decomposes, but don't use the dyed kind. Only use the natural. And then you want to do a really great layer of really good potting soil. I know this may be a little bit basic, but I'm trying to help all of my girlfriends out there who are not familiar with this and you're new to gardening. You're new to gardening, right? Yes. So you always want to have a really good potting soil. Let's talk about some of the plants that we're going to stuff and shove with. Okay. This is a beautiful hyacinth. Now, just know the collection that we're creating right now is basically for a tablescape to put by your front door in the shade. It's something that you can do for just to welcome spring. You'll also see that I have beautiful forsythia branches that we forced from our farm. But a lot of this came from several of our growers, but also from the Eagles in our hometown. I live in Thomaston. It's a very small town, so we don't have a lot around us. I do have growers that grow for me, and that's where the geraniums came from. This is a beautiful asparagus fern. I've got daffodils, the hydrangeas, Lenten roses, and then this is a beautiful euphorbia. Okay, so who knows what do I call my free teas? I call it a certain, go ahead, what do I say? No, go ahead and say it. Go ahead. You know what, Tommy, give her a drink. It's okay. It's like, so it's my version. You always want to have something tall, something thick, and some, you said it? And trailing. Okay. Carrie, take her a hydrangea. You always want to have something tall, thick, and trailing, and you always want to plant in the shape of a triangle. So we're going to actually start with our daffodils first, okay? So you're going to squeeze the pot, and we're going to take this out. Just give it a great big hug. And y'all, do not be afraid. You cannot hurt anything. Go ahead and just take that pot off, and you can't hurt anything. Now, of course, you know these are kind of going downhill. As soon as they go downhill, we'll just yank this out, and we'll put something else in if we need it. And we're going to plant 3 of these in the background, just like that. We're going to start in the back. You're doing so good. You're just yanking that thing off. Totally fine. And now the other thing that when you're done with the daffodils, you know you just go plant them in the back. Okay. So we've got our something tall, and now we're going to do our something thick. So let's go ahead and do our hydrangeas. Now hydrangeas love a lot of water. So something that I'll also do is I will put this in a Ziploc bag on its own and keep the water in it so that way they don't dehydrate as fast. It's just a little fun trick. Then give it a big, here you go, like that. Now, something else that I know y'all may have seen me talk about is anytime I'm stuffing and shoving, I love to do the pancake method. Who knows what the pancake method is? Have y'all heard me? Yes, I saw you back there. Raise your hand. She knew it. Tommy, take her the flat of diamond cross, please. It's up top. The pancake method, anytime you're stuffing and shoving, is you literally make sure that this is soft, it's wet. You cannot do this with a dry plant. You want to make sure that it's wet, and the best way to make sure that your plants are wet is dump them in a bucket of water and wait for all the air bubbles to come out. You will hear it, like hissing. You will hear it. Wait till the air bubbles stop, and then take it out, and you want to literally squish it. Squish it like that. There you go. You cannot hurt it at all. And this is how I put a lot of plants in. Let's get another one right over there. We're going to go ahead and do 2 hydrangeas. And then I also love to use big material. As you can see, I'm using gallon material and basket material because I'm all about instant gratification. I want it to be big. And my clients are wanting all the instant gratification. Just stuff and shut, and you're going to put it right back in through there, just like that. Perfect. I'm going to move that. Let's move that just over there like that. And next, we're going to take this hanging basket out. So I'm going to show y'all, this is how I always take a hanging basket out. I'm just like, you just take your pan, put it in the center, flip it over like that, take it out just like that. Okay? you can't hurt anything. Now, if the roots are not well structured, make it dirt a little bit, but you'll be okay. Okay. So then you want to go ahead and take out this one. You want to practice? Sure. And show everybody? Now it's kind of heavy, so just be careful. And we're going to put this on the other side. So you can kind of see how we're going in the shape of a triangle. And put this towards the back. Just like that. See how easy that is? Great job. That's perfect. Now, and you always want to make sure that you take these plastic things off. Do not plant with the plastic. And you can go on. Oh, I maybe should come over here. Come right over here. Sorry to give you the direction on that. Just come right over here and stuff it right over there. Perfect. True long job. So we got her something tall. We got her some different fits, which we've got the beautiful salmon colored geraniums. We've got our hydrangeas. Next, we're going to do our something trailing. Okay. Who knows what this is? Okay. Y'all aren't even surprised for that. So the asparagus fern, as you know, is kind of prickly, so just be really careful with it. So I'm going to actually come over here, and we're going to put this. Y'all see how beautiful? That's a gorgeous, healthy root structure. When y'all are buying your plants, you always take the pots off and look at your root structure. When it's brown, it's not a good plant, it's not healthy. You always want it to be beautiful and white like this, and that is when it's a really healthy root structure. I don't think we're going to get that off. I don't think we're going to get it off. It is very heavily detailed. Wait, hold on. Let me see if I can yank it off real quick. Let's see. It will come off. There we go. It's going to slowly come off. But cool. There you go. Let's see if we can get it off together. Teamwork. Perfect. So then I'm going to come over here on this corner, and can you help hold that aside for me, just like that? And we're going to plop and drop. Now this is the biggest trick here. Yes. You watch me on Instagram. You want to make sure that you always give your plants a tilt, especially when they're hanging over. And it's literally just a little bit like that, and see what that does for the arrangement. If it were to keep it just up straight, but look when you give it a tilt. It really makes the absolute biggest difference. And next we're just going to stuff and shove, and let's add a Lenten rose. I love these beautiful Lenten roses. This is something that I had an older lady tell me about a Lenten rose, that when you plant a Lenten rose or a Hellebores, you should not touch it for 3 years. Don't touch it, don't cut it, don't do anything to it. And I think it's the truth, because our Lenten roses at the farm are absolutely stunning now, and they have spread. So I don't know, Rebecca, if you know any tips or tricks or why that is, but it is just something that she's an old gardener, and she said, do not touch it. So let's add that up front. Do you think you can reach it up there? Come on this side like this. And we're going to add that Lenten rose up front. And to make any container dance, I cannot stress this enough. This is one of my best favorites, one of my best friends for the garden. In all my containers and in all of my beds, this is Diamond Frost or Euphorbia. It's fabulous. It does great in the heat. It can take the sun. Does not like the shade. It can take the shade, but she's going to get really, really leggy. But she will make any container what I call dance. And that's like a photography term, I think, when after doing a ton of containers with Rebecca on camera. But watch when you go ahead. Do I have a few more in there? Go ahead. But see when I add this, see how it just makes it truly pop in there. It just helps the container. Anytime you want to add a white, a variegated green, in the wintertime, you want to do a silver. I don't really like to use a lot of silver in my summer container gardens because I think it makes it look hot. I always love to use the white, or I love to use the lime green.
Is it different?
No. Listen, she asked a great question, is it deer proof? We are struggling with the deer, it is awful. About 95% of my clients that I install, we struggle with deer. We use liquid fence, deer scram, and it has been a huge help for us. But no, they will, if the deer are hungry, we are even struggling with the deer eating our hollies right now. Yes, they are eating our hollies and a lot of our plants. So it's not been a very friendly thing. So I'm kind of doing this from back here. And then what you would want to do is you would want to go in and fill it with good potting soil. But this is the next layer that's going to take it up a notch, because we're going to add some forsythia branches. You just let them go everywhere. So this is forsythia that we simply cut, and we cut this probably about 3 weeks ago. And I love the forest forsythia. It is in quints. It's such an easy thing to do, and we have buckets of it, and I keep it in my sunroom. But look at what this does. You can just start sticking and shoving. You can't make a mistake. But look at what that does for the arrangement. So it's a beautiful container garden that definitely will go throughout the season, only for the spring season. So the geraniums will last a year. The diamond frost will last a year. But the daffodils and the hydrangea, they'll have to pop out. The hydrangeas you could plant in the garden, but I've never had. Who has success with hydrangeas? When you do? Tom, okay, hold your hands up if you have success with hydrangeas. Go ahead, hold it up. You do have good soil? So these are what we call the forest variety hydrangeas that I do not have a lot of luck with these planting these in my garden afterwards. But you want to, just so y'all are aware of this, the hydrangeas that you're seeing right now in a lot of your local garden centers are the forest variety right now. Your normal hydrangeas is what I like to call them, your garden variety, they're all going to be dormant. So don't be tricked. Don't let that trick you when you see all the beautiful hydrangeas. Right now, don't go and plant them in your yard, because one, they're gonna get bitten by the frost. Do y'all know your frost-free day here?
April 15th.
April 15th. It is April 15th.
I don't know.
So the Farmer's Almanac has moved a lot of our frost-free dates up to the end of March. I don't know if y'all paid attention to that, but you know, when is Easter?
It was one of them.
It's April 20th. So this is going to be a really interesting garden year this year. Okay, so let's see. Next we're going to add the final high emphasis right here. Let's go ahead and add it up front. Or we're just going to stuff and shove. And then see what else. We've got some tulips. But do y'all see how easy this is? And you can do this. I mean, you literally can do this in like 15 minutes. As long as you have a really big plant material, you can make anything gorgeous. And then last, you can just stuff and shove anywhere you can continue to add. And then you would just simply tuck this in and roll this in, and then you've got a gorgeous arrangement. Now, remember, this is not something that's going to last all season long. I know I just shared that with you. But that's why I'm showing y'all the different version of a type of container garden, because I just want you to know that it's okay. You can throw it away and start over again. Okay? It is okay. It is fine. And then these plants are annual, so they'll go throughout the season. And then, of course, the Lenten roses, you'll want to plant these in the garden once they're done. You know, and it's same with the daffodils, so they'll come back next year. Okay. I think it is pretty cool. I think you stuffed and shoved. Okay. You need to ask them more questions. I got to give away that last bag. You know what question I should ask them? That is a great question. What zone are y'all in? You are in zone A. There you go. You get to take home all of those plants. Yep. So wait, someone raise your hand. So you get zone A. That's the container garden. Okay. And then we've got a few more different things, so we'll get those out in just a minute. But you know, I'm going to go ahead. I know y'all may not want me to do this, but do y'all have any questions about the tablescapes? Anything? And I know y'all can come up afterwards. Go ahead.
When you do it arrangement like this in the middle of the table, do you take it off the table?
Who is asking me this question? Yeah, no, I know you did, but someone else just came up and asked me. So I would leave it on there, but you can take it off. We actually were just having a discussion about this. Like, is it tacky, you know, to take it off from the hostess? We just did a really big gala for we had a big gala we were attending. All of our friends were taking off the centerpieces, and I thought it was such an insult to the florists that they were removing them. So you can if you want to see everybody, but I just think it's like a fun element to do. What would you do? Would you take it off? Yes, yes. I know. Okay, any other questions? Say that again, the plant? I can't hear. Oh, boy, okay. This is a question we get a lot about poisonous plants. We have pets, we have 2 dogs. We have a lot of clients that have pets. I have never had any problems with, because I know a lot of people will say that euphorbia can be poisonous, this plant right here, and this is in the poinsettia family. I've never had any problems with it before, but just be mindful about it, about your animals and your pets being around it. So I use every kind of plant, any kind of plant on my tablescapes. I think it's fine. I put this on my tablescapes, I do this on my tablescapes. It's like no one's going, I don't think anyone's going to be trying to eat it. But I think that is such a great question because I get that question a lot. I personally I put all plants on there. Okay, who else had a question? You in the pink with that. Okay, so literally just a watering can, and I just water all the way around it. We will take this, if I'm using this as like a centerpiece for a buffet, I will take it outside and water it, or like when we did this for country living, it sat next to the door on the front porch on a beautiful table, and y'all, this is going to be one of your best things you could ever invest in. You buy them on Amazon. I love to use a copper boot tray. They're like $30, they're not real copper, but you can put a copper boot tray under this and water it so that way, but then don't leave it in that copper boot tray because it will ruin the basket. Another great way to water is, especially if you're, you notice that with the hydrangeas or the different things are wilting, ice. Don't be afraid to go in and sprinkle ice throughout here as well. But you really want to get it with a really, really good soap. And I often think that's one of the biggest mistakes that people make in gardening is they don't believe in deep soaps. It is so important. You need to make sure that water's getting at least down 2 to 3 inches, like especially when you're watering in your garden. You want to water long. Don't just water what I call fast. You want to give everything a really deep soak. And that's the same thing for the container gardens. When we are watering our clients, I have crews that water our clients' container gardens. We do it Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and they are long, deep soaks by hand. I think irrigation systems are not the best for container gardens. I think they're better when they're watered by hand. We have a lot better results when we are watering them by hand. But of course, not everybody has someone come into their house 3 days a week like we don't. So we have to continue to water 3 days a week. Now, when it gets 100 degrees, that's when you've got to start watering every single day. And that's when I firmly believe in go big when you're buying your container in the gardens. A lot of our clients, we use 28-inch and above containers because small pots turn into crock pots in the South. So go big, go big. Okay, I think we have 2 more questions, and then we're going to do a Q&A afterwards. Oh, I'm so glad you asked that question. Who got a green bag? Who got a bag with the green tissue paper? Open up your bag and show them the fertilizer that I love to use. Nelson's Plant Food is one of my favorite fertilizers. Thank you. And they make it for azaleas. They make it for container gardens. You can find it all on Amazon. But I love to use Nelson's Plant Food on my containers and on my different trees and shrubs. Nelson's Plant Food. And if you go to their website, if you can't find it. And another last thing, I love to use Fafford soil. F-A-F-A-R-D. You're going to pay $30 a bag for it, but it is like liquid gold. You should be able to buy it at your local garden center here. Ask them if not, you don't buy it online because it's too expensive to ship, but you should have it at your local garden center. Okay.
And the moment you've been waiting for, you get to ask them all questions. Some of these have come from the audience. I'm going to start with this one. What is, each of you will answer this, your favorite place in the South?
I think we're biased, and it goes without saying we're both born and raised in Charleston, and we both lived there full time. I did try to leave for college, as every 18-year-old does. I went to Villanova, which is right outside of Philadelphia, and made it 2.5 years, and then brought my butt back down to Columbia. So I think we're biased for Charleston.
Oh my gosh, living in Washington State now, if I'm in the South, I am so happy. I love Washington too, but I have an amazingly soft spot for South Carolina. Yes. And I want you to know, my husband absolutely loves the hospitality here. We got these lovely gift bags, and Carmen brought all of us little Circes last night. And my husband said, see, if we were in Washington, we wouldn't be getting any of this. These are good Southern ladies.
I would have to say, I'm a homebody. I love being home. I love Thomaston. Well, I'm not necessarily the town. I love our farm. I love where we live. I love it. It's so beautiful. I get to look at it and bring. But if I had to travel like a vacation spot, a lot of y'all know we love the Greenbrier. It is an absolutely special place, especially if you love design and decor. It is just, if you've never visited, I really recommend it. It's such a beautiful place. In West Virginia, White Sulphur Springs.
While you've got the mic, have you had success growing? Have you had success growing peonies in Georgia?
No. It's actually funny that you asked this because one of my bespoke garden clients is a peony grower in Alabama. And literally, I was on a Zoom call with her 2 weeks ago, and I was like, how are you doing this in Alabama? And she said there's 2 varieties that can take the heat. Festiva Maxima and Sarah Bernhardt are the only 2 that can really take the heat. But y'all, I mean, our Atlanta clients even struggle with it. We certainly cannot do it in Columbus. We can, but it just takes, especially for a new gardener, it's really tough.
You need to dig a $200 hole for a $20 plant. I'm serious, if you're going to attempt to do this, morning sun is better with protection from that, kind of like a rose, and seriously, dig out the most expensive hole you can and make it fabulous, like make it want to be a homebody. And then put your peony there and leave it alone. Don't try to move it, don't prod or pick or anything else. And then,
We don't really do a lot of our clients because they always die and they're really expensive.
So she's dead on Festiva Maxima and Sarah Bernhardt, and anything outside of that.
Well, Rebecca, while you got the mic, what is your favorite rose of all time and color?
That's like asking which child you like. And it goes back to what is the situation, not trying to avoid the question, but if I'm going for a climber, I really do like the generous gardener because you get so much pow. Lady Echolot is a staple that I see growing well from San Diego up through Vermont. And then when it comes to, I love the Poet's Wife. It's yellow and it smells so good. And I was talking to my table mate at lunch, and it just keeps on going. It smells amazing, and I can cut from it and bring it in. So that's a loaded question. All right.
What are your go-to blooms for all these gardeners for easy at-home arrangements?
I feel like you can find so many just at, Trader Joe's, but our favorite are ranunculus. I mean, you can always pop those in any arrangement, and it's really beautiful. You can find those at Whole Foods, Trader Joe's, tulips. One thing that I wanted to show y'all today, but the tulips that we had aren't the best ones to do it with, but you can invert the petals of the tulips, and it makes them into these really big blooms. I even noticed on our table over there, the tulips are starting to open even more, and they're just like a huge wow factor. People will always be gravitated towards those. So,
Carmen, what are your favorite shrub varieties that thrive in this area?
Shishigashira. I love the Shishigashira camellia. It is just an S-H-I space Gashira. It is, I love it because it has a beautiful winter interest and a beautiful glossy leaf, and it's something that's unexpected, bloom, in the late fall and winter time. I also love, I'm giving like easy plants. I also love Distilium. Distilium is another really great plant, and these are easy things. But of course, I love, and I'm going to tell you my rose too. I love a New Dawn rose.
Rebecca, you touched on this, but what should we be doing throughout the year to keep our roses happy?
When you water exactly as Carmen said, water deep, low, and slow. That is so important. Fertilize with a good rose food. You can do any brand you want. Espoma has a great brand. We are now selling an Osmocote online, and that does a 6-month feed. To keep the roses happy, I also like to do a foliar feed with a Neptune or some type of fish fertilizer. Remember, I told you big girls like to eat, so they're making lots of flowers. And then the next thing, if you want to keep those flowers going, keep deadheading, because the more you cut, the more blooms you're going to get.
I want to make sure, did some other questions come from the audience? I've got a whole list here. Is anything, oh good, go ahead.
For Juniper and
Why don't you do it here so everybody can hear?
For Juniper and Jasmine, what were you putting on your candlesticks today?
That was our most asked question at lunchtime, so we're prepared. So this is the lid of it. It's called Stickum, and I told some of you the wrong spelling. It's the word stick, dash, and then U-M. We ordered it off of Amazon. You can get it in a smaller tin, or we get a larger size. And I heard some of you saying that you will scoop it out with your finger. As you saw, we just shoved the paper candle in there, swirl it around, and then just stick it right in there. Sometimes, every so often, we have to go back around the base of the candle and tidy it up a little bit because it does leave a little residue. But yeah, it's been an absolute lifesaver when we've got those really long tables to set and we need them all straight.
Is it all right to leave your tables or to change up your tables and leave them set, even if you're not having company, just have them in your house for holidays or for yourself?
My God, we're going, yes! Because we used to do a lot of photo shoots together and where we would set the table. So absolutely. And I think it's great too that you can change out with the different flowers and the different things. I often keep, that's the potted, we keep a lot of potted plants on our tables, as centerpieces all the time. And I think if you just need just a fun splash, especially during the winter time, and you want your table, it just makes you feel festive. It just makes it feel warm and welcoming. So absolutely.
And remember, I hope you take home today, don't keep the good china in the cupboard. Use it. Use your linens. Life is short. Be happy. You gotta do it.
I still have my Christmas china out because I want to enjoy it a little bit longer.
And use your silver. Use your silver. Every day.
I have a question about rose hips. So, are there any of the roses that you can use the hips for the tea?
Absolutely. So really, all of our roses, if you quit pruning them in about July or August, you will see hips will start forming. Some of them have a tendency to make more hips than others, but really, if you quit, there's one that I didn't talk about today called the Imogen. She is kind of a white rose with a yellow center. She makes fabulous hips. And I don't have her in the wholesale collection this year, but you can get her online. So if you're wanting to do that, absolutely.
Caroline, how many weddings do you all do per year, approximately?
Oh gosh, we don't have an exact number, but I would say we typically have one a weekend beginning of March, and that's going to take us all the way till the end of June. And then we pick up again the beginning of September, all the way through mid-December. We normally try to take the last weekend before Christmas off, and without fail, every year someone comes to us with a really cool design and we say yes. But then we do intentionally block off January and February and July and August when it's too hot. But that also gives us some time for meetings and writing proposals and stuff like that. So you can, I should have done the math beforehand, but that should give you a rough answer.
Carmen, how much time do you spend in your own yard when you have the chance to work? And do you have a daily ritual of relaxing and enjoying your own yard?
I'm laughing because I just saw Tommy back there like giggle. My favorite thing to do when I come home after a really long day is I love to water. It is a very relaxing. Who else likes to water in here? Okay, I have a few more gifts I have to hand out. Oh, in the back. If you like to water, in the back. Hand those out in the back. I love to water, but and I love to do my own containers. I love to do my containers, but I'll be honest with you. I have 3 businesses, and it keeps me really busy. But I love it.
Rebecca, what plant complements a rose bush for a backdrop?
Oh my goodness. So I would totally look at salvias in this area with that blue kind of spikiness. There is another little low-growing perennial called catmint and nepeta, and I really like cat's pajamas. That's a newer one. That looks wonderful. Boxwoods are a no-brainer, but you know, for me in Washington State, I have rhododendrons that are really, really big as a backdrop. Here, a camellia could give you that similar type of texture as a backdrop. So really don't be shy about putting the David Austins in the border with other plants.
Any more questions from the, oh, good.
Do any of y'all have a secret to keeping hydrangea blooms alive in a wet oasis?
Not really. I normally don't have many issues with them. I think just make sure your foam is really soaked, and make sure you're watering that foam, and just make sure your stems are going in a good 2-3 inches. You know, when you're soaking your foam, just make sure you're putting it in the water the right way, and that it's soaking the whole way through. Don't push it down or anything like that, because then you'll get air pockets. And if your stems go into one of those air pockets, they're not getting the water they need. But misting them, they drink a lot from their heads, so if you mist them good, you can always take them out of the arrangement, dunk them in water, run them so pop them back in. But yeah, we try to keep hydrangeas out of our designs in like June, even though I think we have a wedding coming up with like 500 hydrangeas, so wish us luck. A lot of spraying, a lot of watering, but yeah, we'll let you know how it goes.
Any other questions? Oh, good.
And dip them in alum. Dip them in alum. Spice. That's awesome. We'll have all y'all come dip this
Assembly line.
Yes.
Oh, hold on.
I have a family member that lives in Nantucket and has invited me every 4th of July to stay with them. I have fallen in love with the Wisconsin Nantucket roses. How can I get that look down in South Carolina?
Well, here's the thing. Anytime you're trying to get an English look or, look from anywhere, basically what you do is you go back to the big picture and you go, okay, these are the hydrangeas that work here. These are the roses that work here. So they might have had delphinium and foxglove just making everything fabulous. What what is that substitution in South Carolina where it's so hot? I love a plant called digiplex. It's very good. You can also go back to the salvias that have that spiky look. Looking for like lantanas and homestead verbena, things that we've grown that have done us well for years. Just say, all right, they had yellow here, here's my yellow. They have blue here, here's my blue. And that's really the best way to do it.
Y'all, but that is, I think we could be here all afternoon. Yes. Join me again in thanking Ms.
Thank y'all so much for coming. What a day. One more round of applause. We have two other stars, and that would be Reen White and Sabrina Hall. They are the committee chairs for today.
Get out.
If they would come up, please. Stephanie and I have something for them. Thank you so much. You may leave.